Well, now to our next discussion. Nigerians are still in shock and expressing deep concerns after a notorious and wanted bandit leader, Ado Aleru, was turbaned as the chief of the Fulani of Yandoton Daji Emirate in Zamfara State. The turbaning ceremony was done by the emir of Yandoton Daji, Aliyu Marafa, at his palace at a time when the country is being ravaged by insecurity. And Zamfara State is one of the most terrorized states in the country at the moment and is regarded as the hotbed of banditry, a situation which propelled the state governor, Bello Matawali, to declare that his people arm themselves. The emir, who says the reason he turbaned the bandit, that's Ado Aleru, was to protect his people and find lasting peace in his troubled emirate, has also now been suspended by the state government. And joining us now to discuss this development, what it means in the fight against insecurity, we have a lawyer and a social development advocate, Jide Ologun. Welcome to TVC Breakfast. It's good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
This is a very stunning development. What interests me more about this is that there was a meeting ahead of this. There was an arrangement. There was a council meeting in the Emirate. Everybody knew about it. The police knew about it. The government knew about it. And it still happened. He came there in the parody of Jesus riding on
a donkey
into the city. And he did that. This one was moving with one flourish because he came with other bandits, other notorious bandits. All of them came, and it happened. Are we dreaming?
I'm stunned that you are stunned, sir. Let me start from there. You know, we're in a situation where another governor has told the world that they are in communication with the terrorists or bandits, however we choose to classify them. And then we are just having one of the glaring shows of the bravery that these terrorists have really taken on in Nigeria, and the picture of the attitude of the government perhaps in dealing with the terrible insecurity we have in the country. Well, let me go to content analysis. I recall that around 2018 or so, a committee was set up on the state of insecurity in Zamfara State, headed by a retired, a former Inspector General of Police, Abubakar Muhammad. And one of the prescriptions was the findings that some of the traditional rulers collude with these bandits and that they should be dethroned. And many of those recommendations have not been implemented. I think only about 2 of them were dethroned or so. In fact, recently, you will recall that the governor gave about 260 exotic vehicles to traditional leaders, attaching it to support their efforts in fighting insecurity. So when you put all this together, you just want to find out that do these leaders see the situation as insecurity, or is an agenda being pushed? And if you dig further into the narrative of what just happened, it will really amaze you, as if while denying involvement, we are pushing an agenda that may not be healthy at the end of the day. Because when you talk, even the governor now coming out to say the emir is suspended. What is suspension? What is suspension is different from dethroning. You see, so in few days' time, what we will be reading about, you see, and is it because, like you say, some people who were worried came out to express themselves that how could this have happened? But I'm no longer stunned by these dramas, in the sense that when you go back to the Dapchi girls kidnapping, it took a similar narrative. You had intelligence report, military people were withdrawn, they came, kidnapped them. Even when they were bringing some of them, it was with fanfare. You go back to the recent attack on the Kuje Correctional Facility. the same narratives. We had forerunning intelligence report, the military withdrawn, they came in, attacked, some escaped. And also, we are in a very precarious state as a nation. And the big question some are still asking is that, are you sure that those we are even sympathizing with are not behind the insecurity in the land? After all, the Attorney General of the Federation came out to tell the world that they have been able to identify about 400 sponsors of terrorism. I don't want to make reference to Boko Haram. They have grown to become Islamic states of West Africa. And where are the sponsors? You see, so these are, and it's so disturbing. Military men are killed. We have a very recent report now that the civilian joint task force got ambushed and attacked in Borno State by this same, terrorists who operate with motorbikes and sophisticated weapons put together.
The rationale of the emir was that, and like we noted, it wasn't like this bandit leader had to fight or woo anyone for this title, this chieftaincy title that he was given. They saw it in the Emirate as a possible way to bring about long-lasting peace in their communities. So it was their idea. Someone suggested it, the rest bought the idea, and then they reached out to him, and he in turn accepted with much aplomb, so to speak. What do you make of that? And even when he was being turbaned, even though they had said it had been suspended, they then went behind other people's backs and then carried out the turban ceremony. He in turn now says he will do his best to ensure that residents know peace. What do you what do you do, or what do you think about this quest for peace and this unconventional means to get it?
If I were to be in a classroom answering an examination question, I would have taken my first option to be that they are friends in crime. So you must push the interest of your friend. Then my second position may be that maybe he is part of a huge agenda, all right? Because if indeed we are disturbed by the level of insecurity, how do you solve the problem of darkness with darkness? We have insecurity in the land, and you are now enthroning a crucial arrowhead of insecurity. Then where are we pushing the nation? It's like telling us now that somebody has gone away with about 80 billion naira of Nigerians' money, and you are saying, okay, just live where you are. Come and become the governor of Central Bank. You see, so I cannot put all this together. And that's why I have pointed our attention to sponsors of Boko Haram. But I've read a lot of reports. Some of them may be in the National Assembly, some of them may be traditional rulers. In fact, I recall the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari, saying when he was in Borno State, blaming some of the traditional rulers. And if traditional rulers are supporting crime against the state, I don't know where we had.
But what is going on? We have traditional rulers killed by these bandits. We've had them killed by these religious leaders killed by these bandits. What they are doing, is it not bonding with your oppressor? I mean, it's just like what they call the Stockholm syndrome. You bond with your oppressor because maybe by bonding with him, you can let peace be. But then you have the contrast between bonding with your oppressor and the governor issuing about a month ago an order, or not an order, perhaps a suggestion that everybody should bear arms. That was criticized. Now this man is making peace with a bandit. But that's not my question. My question is there an agenda? Because SSS knew about this. The police knew about it. The government knew about it. And it happened. Why? What is the suspension going to do? You have brought the criminal, somebody whose name is familiar, like Dogo Gide, or what they call it, and many others. There are lists of them who are around that place. And again, is there an agenda? Because there was, in 2019, a bounty of 5 million on his head. That if you catch this man, you get 5 million. Now, we are turbaning him. He has become, we are legitimizing terrorism, banditry. We are legitimizing it. Is it not? Is that agenda? That's why I say that we don't want to end terrorism. If the government wants to end terrorism, it will do so. What stops them from swooping on them at that place and gathering them? And they were not armed. That's the difference.
They were there to party.
They were there to party with their wives.
Let me start from the...
And with the concubinage was there, and then all their foot soldiers, they were all there enjoying.
Let me start from the bounty. In the report of the committee set up, the so-called bandits mobilized about 3 billion naira as ransom from those they have abducted. So 5 million naira bounty is no big deal. Let's cast our minds back to Wadume.
No, when you say 5 million bounty, it's no big deal. It's no big deal for them. But if I know where it is, as a man who doesn't have 2 kobo,
yes.
I should have gone to tell the police, I know it's there. It's in that corner.
You won't venture.
Because I need
the police should know.
They know. They were told.
I don't want to say they do.
They were called by newspaper reporters to tell them, look, this thing is happening in a few days. Are you aware? They didn't respond.
The governor of Kaduna State stated that they are in communication. They know where the bandits are. Sheikh Gumi went in to take photographs with them. So on the basis of intelligence gathering, the government cannot deny anything. In fact, the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, making reference to the Kuje correctional facility invasion recently, classified the intelligence architecture to have collapsed. And I was afraid that if the commander-in-chief is losing, is coming to this point, and that tells us that there may be a bigger support for the crisis we are going through in the country. And it brings us back to the place of government. Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1990 as amended says that the security and the welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. So the commander-in-chief is expected to secure the citizens. But we have several issues that are coming up now. Now, when you talk about internally displaced people, what does it mean? Those people have been thrown away from their communities, and those communities are occupied by others. Who are these others, these aliens coming in? The governor of Niger State came out and screamed that 12 out of the 25 local government areas in Niger State have been taken over by bandits. They even collect money to protect citizens.
Is that not what we're even seeing in this state now, in Zamfara State? Is that not what we are seeing? The fact that these bandits have already come to control some areas, so they might as well just, endorse their reign.
But the government at the helicopter level will come to tell us that Nigeria is more secured now because it's not under the control of bandits. So I just pray that this huge agenda is tamed. But you asked a very brilliant question, sir. Those who are supposed to tame it, do they have the clause to tame it? And I put it back to the table of the commander-in-chief. Our president has rolled out instructions, deal with these people, do this one. But what do we see? It's like they are growing stronger by the day. But let me help us a bit. The former chief of army staff, Buratai, said that we may be in this journey for another 20 years. You see, and I don't joke with such comments that you don't just deal with terrorism. So, but they say where there is a will, there is a way. And the big question now is that how does this present regime perceive the insecurity in the land? All right, is it towards an agenda? And I said, when the Taliban took over in Afghanistan, that we may not just think Afghanistan is so far away. In fact, there were cries in the country recently when this guy started operating in Niger State, and people were, how close is Niger State to Aso Villa? Now, Kuje, where is next? But what can we say? What can we say?
Let's
we
also
we,
look
we
at-
have a government mandate
Right.
to secure lives and properties, but it's like right now, oh Israel, to your tent, and the governor came out recently to say people should go and obtain license for ammunition. And who will grant the license? The same government will grant the license. And during the attack of the train between Abuja and Kaduna, the former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, came out to express his frustration that there were intelligence reports, but the surveillance equipment that should have been installed, there was no approval for it. So when the government itself is confused about how to deal with the situation, where do we go?
And I take it is like a cycle too, because what else would the people do? We've always, been wondering too about how these people, obviously, these bandits are known to residents, and yet when police authorities or security agencies come out to place a bounty for the heads of bandits now, even with juicy amounts to be given, to the average residents, and yet we don't see them getting any leeway in finding these people. So there does seem to be some form of sympathy, or is it because these are the people they've always known, as against the government that is perceived as distant?
When my president and commander-in-chief was assuming office, he passed a comment on the Boko Haram campaign. He said the Boko Haram has been technically defeated. That was a very serious statement. And he was right. There are levels in terrorism. What the Boko Haram has achieved, even though they've become Islamic civil, is to persuade some communities that you are not enjoying government presence. Your government cannot protect you. So let's give you that protection. And that is why some farmers were slaughtered in Borno State. In fact, some said they didn't come to them for approval to go to your farms. You see, and the big question you now ask is, who is in control? I am worried that in a country that has invested serious money in buying Chicano jets, buying different kinds of equipment, that bandits will invade your international airport on motorbikes. So what is going on?
So I said, I said before that we have had, if it is intelligence, we have it.
Yes.
If it's weapons, we have it. If it's men, we have it. If it is resources or other resources, we have it. Yet we have men in that Zamfara area alone. Ali Zakwai, Bello Truji, Damboko, Sanata, Isuhu Yelo, Damina, and Mali Shamua.
These are names.
These are names of bandits they know in that area. They know all of them. They can't arrest one. Even their sponsors are in jail. So what do you mean? Are we now saying that there's an agenda and that the government they are working with the bandits and that it's just a wink and a nod?
Okay, let's isolate this particular case. What happened? Someone has been turbaned as Serikim Fulani. And that means the
chief of the
Fulanis in Zamfara State.
In that local government. Yeah.
Exactly. Can we now go into content analysis again? Could Chief Olusegun Obasanjo have been right when he came out as a security expert, at least a former military head of state, executive president of Nigeria? Now there's a Fulanization agenda of Nigeria and Islamization of West Africa. And can we now extend it to the interest of the Sahel region in Nigeria? Because a national security advisor made reference to it that the big problem we have is, the players in that region. So our problem may be beyond the local considerations we are giving to it. In fact, I recall that in year 2019, at least 2 governors came from the Niger Republic to campaign for my president to emerge as the president. So this issue is bigger than we are seeing. So we may just be seeing a pocket of manifestations towards that, because I'm disturbed as you are that with all, we have over, I think, about 40 security agencies in the country. And if we have all this and we are still where we are, then there should be a force that is probably not allowing the capacity to be deployed. Because even those who attacked the train from Abuja to Kaduna and killed people, kidnapped, how many of them have been arrested?
They have been making billions.
And then we are having them coming out.
They are making billions out of it.
And then we are having them release their hostages bits by bits after, a very substantial amount of money has been paid.
And the money they are mobilizing is also to equip themselves for this campaign.
It's to give them more impetus.
Exactly. In fact, ECOWAS reported on the amounts these terrorists have mobilized. And Nigeria kicked against. Why we have kicked against so much truth?
This is even what is on record.
Being revealed to us.
This is even monies on record.
And that now takes me to the National Assembly. We have 109 senators, 360 House of Reps members, in an ideal situation for the country. And Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1990 as amended says that National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria. So if they are there and we are where we are, I am disturbed. But my message has not changed.
No, we still have the laws. It's not a because of laws.
We have the laws, but by extension, they have power to also deal with the executive if those laws are not being implemented. That's why we have the checks and balances. And I was going to say, sir, that one day you will leave Abuja, the National Assembly. You may not be able to go back to your constituency. You'll be in this country. If you run out of Nigeria, your relations are here. So if we have challenges that constitutionally you can help us to combat now, then you come back to have peace.
We've seen...
Because it's like right now we've come to the point where a governor could rise up and say, my people, go and arm yourselves. Then, are we now going to be a gun society?
Right.
They've come with all kinds of strategies. The latest was from Matawale, who says, everybody can bear arms. There was the one they said they wanted to cut off all networks. Then they shut down markets. Then Masari said, okay, if these people are so angry, let us give them shops and houses and create a welfare state for them. I'm collecting millions. And you want me to come and sit down and start selling kose for five naira?
Even the army, even the army too also brought out its own kinetic measures now to help their war on the terrorists.
Yeah,
and
in
we've
terrorism,
seen how it has all worked.
You deal with terrorism with the combat and non-combat approaches. And the former president of Nigeria, Musa Yar'Adua, started that with the amnesty. And there was a report, though the Zamfara State government denied it, that Hillock's vans were given to the repentant bandit, who later converted them to attack the people because, like you said, they make more money from this banditry. They have mobilized billions.
What are you going to give them? What kind of amnesty are you going to give them?
Exactly. Because a highly positioned governor was telling us that these people, they are probably more equipped. In fact, I was reading a report where it was disclosed that over 80% of the ammunition available to the terrorists were seized from the military. They have grenade launchers. This grenade launcher is within the prohibited class of firearms in Nigeria. Only the president can give you license, approval to use a prohibited firearms. And these guys use it. So if they don't have approval for it, and they are daring the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, there is something wrong somewhere.
But in all of this, and then there are arguments for and against state police. Where do you stand in this, vast lawlessness that we see all over the northern region? And of course, we are even seeing pockets of it, coming down south. Where are we headed if indeed we bring in or we give more dialogue for the evolution of state police?
What state police will do is to decentralize the command system. Right now, we have the Inspector General of Police that gives directives. You know, the commissioner of police in your state will not take directive from the governor, even though you say that the governor is the #1 security officer in the land. It is the Inspector General of Police that commands. So what people are asking for, some are asking for, is that, okay, let's now have state police so that the commissioner of police is answerable to the governor and can deal with the local security challenges. But that has not prevented the setting up of the Amotekun and some other. You have the HBAR system in Kano State. So states can still come up with laws that they can use to secure their environments. For example, I heard this morning that the use of Okada has been banned also in Kano State. You identify the elements that we aid them. They say in crime that you can hardly find a crime that does not leave footprints. It's like you ask somebody, some people came for this turbaning. They could have been arrested.
Officials.
After all, EFCC is going to where the primaries took place to arrest vote buyers. You know, so why can't we deploy, except there is an instruction somewhere that you don't move? Leave them to operate freely. And if that is the case, history will record it. Because my deep prayer for Nigeria is that this cannot be the destination for this country. We are just passing through.
All right.
And we hope that when we have state police, when we have state police, they don't take over the state police themselves.
Indeed. Well, that's the fear.
But people will be
gentlemen.
able to, you know, somewhere along the line, we come to what we call the breaking point. Right. And I think we are gradually moving there. And please, may I also say that we should take note of what is going on in Sri Lanka. The government should note it critically.
All right.
When people are frustrated to a point, they begin to perceive the state as an enemy. And what may result from that may not be friendly.
Sri Lanka happened in our backyard.
Gentlemen, enters and of course...
NSAS is not get to that. The one that happened I've forgotten the West African country where they went into the palace too and went into the swimming pool.
Right. All right, gentlemen, we'll save this for another day. You know, so many implications of the level of insecurity in Nigeria. Social development advocate and lawyer, Ado Aleru, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you. God bless Nigeria.